In this section, we're going to be learning about branded types or nominal types. These types are really interesting because they let you specify logic on the type level. Here we have a password here, and this password is basically just a string here. But we can call this special brand thing over here. And what that's going to do is it's going to basically turn this password from just a regular string into a password. So I can say as password. So now inside this password slot, this variable is expecting to be assigned as a password, essentially. Like, you shouldn't be able to assign it just like a regular string. So if I delete some code here, I shouldn't be able to go, okay, pass it just a random password. It needs to be something that has been branded as a password. Whereas if I do this and say as password over here, then suddenly this passes. So to look at this, this complicated piece of code, I've gone into helpers brand.ts here. We have a export type brand, which takes in a T and T brand, and it returns T and an object containing that brand assigned to a unique symbol. Now this object here can basically never be satisfied at the runtime because this declare const brand, it basically only exists at the type level. Declare const puts something into global scope that's basically a type that you can fulfill. So you can say brand equals something, 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 but you're never going to be able to fulfill it, and it's a constant anyway. It's basically, this syntax lets you declare a globally unique symbol that you can then use in your brands that can never be satisfied. So what this means is that when we brand something as something on the type level, it means that it has to be passed to a slot with that same brand. So for instance, we could have a, let's say, get password, for instance, or const verify password. And what we're going to do then is take in a password here, which is going to be of type password. And now verify password, you can't just pass it one of these. It has to be, of course, restart TS server. Let's see if finally you catch up. Then you have to mark it as password, or you'll see various tips in this section on how you can create these branded types out of regular types. So that's the idea of branded types. You create, and you can do this, by the way, to anything. You can say, okay, I want to create a branded object. You can say type user object equals brand, and then we can just pass in like ID, string, name, string, for instance, and then we have to give it a name too. So we have to say user, and then that user object, so const user, let's say, we can say this has to be a user object, and we have to pass it a name, we have to pass it, an ID and a name, and it has to be branded as user object. So there we go. That's the idea behind brands, and we'll see their various applications throughout this section and how they can make your logic a lot safer, and they let you do some really interesting stuff that just isn't possible with regular TypeScript.